You're not a singles band, right? So when you're holed up in Sharon in Vermont, why did you have such a strong feeling that this 8.5 minute slow ride was going to be a hit? And how did you change Paul Fishkin's mind down at Bearsville when he just looked at you and go, nah, for 8.5 minutes? So why did you think it was going to be a hit, and how did you change his mind?
Well, up to that point, the band never picked singles. That was up to the record company, because, you know, you make the best records you can and the best songs you can. But Nick Jameson, the rest of the band had left. Nick Jameson and I were up at Sharon, Vermont, where we recorded it, doing the final mixing. I wasn't really involved in the mixing. I would bring Nick a cup of tea and some biscuits or something, but you know, and say stuff like, "Can you turn the drums up a little bit?" No. So Nick and I packed up the station wagon with all the stuff, drove back down to Bearsville. I had a house. I was living with my girlfriend there in Woodstock, and we went in to see Paul Fishkin and played it for him. We mixed that, and the B-side was "Save Your Lovin'" off the first album. Just those two songs were mixed. And Paul Fishkin said, "No, you can't have an 8-minute single." And we said, "Yes, we can." And initially it came out as 8 minutes, but the radio stations would shorten it. Some of them didn't. Some of them were cool enough. That was back when it was still FM radio everywhere. They would play a 7 or 8 minute tune and go, "Foghat, 8 minutes, slow ride."
I love it.
Yeah,
I've got to mention your live album. I mean, this era of the 70s, live albums were legendary. It was almost like the time of the great live albums. Frampton's album, obviously, the Stones, the Who at Leeds, Thin Lizzy, UFOs, Strangers in the Night, AC/DC, If You Want Blood. You recorded these at, Syracuse, and a couple at Rochester. What were your feelings of live albums at the time? Was it something that you actively wanted to do, or was it something that you were coerced into?
No, it's something I wanted to do. In fact, as I recall it, I was the one who started it and said, every night after the show, our front of house engineer, Bob Coffey, who I'm still good friends with, would give me a cassette from the show, you know, to check on tempos, make sure we're like, you know, in the right sort of spot. Because there was a lot of youthful enthusiasm back then. So tempos sometimes would get a little quick. So, and Rod and Dave, I think, were struggling to write some songs. We were probably on the road a lot. Dave would write when he was on the road, but it was difficult to get like rehearsal time and, you know, some time to put this stuff together. So I was the one who suggested doing a live album. Craig McGregor had been with us for about a year, maybe 2 years then, I think. We'd already finished, we did the Night Shift album. So, and there were obviously songs from that. And Nick Jameson, we rented the RCA mobile unit. It came from those two shows, but I know we did a few other shows. And back then we were playing for at least an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40 minutes. So there was a lot more material on there. I think we did 6 songs on the album, maybe something like that. And so there's a lot more material on there, but the band was playing great then. We had to watch our youthful enthusiasm. But yeah, I was really pleased with the way it sounded. Nick Jameson is an absolute genius as far as recording, as an engineer and as a producer. I probably learned more working with Nick and hanging out with Nick than I did on any other single musician. I learned a lot from him, how to play, what not to play, which is one of the basic sort of interesting things that you learn as a drummer.